Hey gang, it's Luke Austin from your midday show here on Big Frog 104 with a Week 1 fantasy football recap. So on Friday before Week 1, I gave you a list of starts and sits that I like and a few replacement options if you have Miami or Tampa Bay players. So I figure because all the big sports guys don't do this, ESPN, NFL, Yahoo Sports, because they don't come out and tell you what they got wrong, I'm going to go ahead and admit my own mistakes, tell you what I got wrong, a little bit of what I got right, and then we're going to go forward with the football season. So every Friday I'm going to take your questions and just throw out some of my favorite picks for fantasy football. And then, like I said, on probably Tuesday after the Monday Night Football games, I'm going to do a recap and admit what I got wrong, but then brag a little bit about what I got right. So without further ado, here's what I got wrong from Week 1 of the NFL season. Martavius Bryant from the Steelers. I told you to go ahead and pick him up. Everybody says he's got his own like gravitational pull. Well, guess what? He dropped like 3 passes and barely touched the ball other than that. So bust, all right? Carson Palmer, I said he'd probably a viable option at quarterback just for 1 week. Well, he had 1 touchdown and barely 300 yards, I think. So he may have gotten you through the week, but still not as good as I was, I guess, professing on Friday. So Wendell Smallwood from Philadelphia never touched the football. Sorry about that one. Same thing with Alfred Morris from the Cowboys. He touched the ball a couple of times, but nothing that was going to help your fantasy team. Torrey Smith from the Eagles and Bruce Ellington from Houston, pretty much the same deal. So if you took those guys because I said so, sorry about that. But I did get a couple right, so we'll find out about those. Evan Engram from the Giants, too, didn't do anything at all Sunday night. So sorry about that, but moving on to the ones that I did get right, just to prove that sometimes I kind of know what I'm talking about. Danny Woodhead from the Baltimore Ravens. I said he was a good third running back option, maybe a flex if you had to replace somebody from Miami or Tampa. Danny Woodhead had 3 receptions, 33 yards, a good 6 points if you're in a PPR league. Michael Crabtree from the Oakland Raiders. I said he's been their #1 fantasy option for the last 2 years. Well, it looks like Amari Cooper's taking over that role, but Crabtree still had 6 receptions, 83 yards. Not a bad day for second or third receiver overall. Sam Bradford, heck of a quarterback performance last night, Monday night. If you picked him up to replace somebody from like Jameis Winston from Tampa or even Cutler from Miami, you may have a franchise quarterback for the rest of the season. 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, a heck of a night, too. I know it was against a terrible Saints defense, but he looks like he's got that offense under control. Carson Wentz from the Eagles, same deal. 2 touchdowns, 300 yards. Not a bad week overall. He was a replacement for me, so that's how that went. Shane Vereen from the New York Giants. I told you if you were in a PPR league and you needed somebody quick, he had 9 catches and 50 yards, so that's not a bad day, especially in a PPR league or even a half PPR league. Then Jesse James, tight end from the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was a late grab for me. I had to replace Cameron Brate from the Buccaneers. Jesse James, 6 catches, 41 yards, and 2 touchdowns, so that was pretty big. And Jason Witten, I think this was funny because I said he generally scores a touchdown once a year against the Giants. Well, this was the week he happened to do that. In fact, the game's only touchdown. And then finally, the Colts. I kind of got all of that right. I told you, sit your Colts if you can help it. I'm sure a couple of you had T.Y. Hilton, maybe Dante Moncrief, that you couldn't avoid starting because you probably drafted them high. But, I mean, Scott Tolzien, 128 yards, 2 picks. Frank Gore, 42 yards rushing. T.Y. Hilton, 57 yards receiving, only 3 catches. Moncrief, 1 for 50. So you really didn't have any production from the Colts at all. If you sat your Colts because I said so, well, then we're both amazingly smart. So going forward, if you have any questions for fantasy football for me, I'll be putting out a video every Friday to prepare you for the weekend. You can send me your questions at luke@bigfrog104.com or through our Facebook page. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you on Friday.